nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the following items. A, approve a lighted parade sponsored by the Winston Area Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with the Winston Winter Festival on designated streets in the city of Winsted as approved by the Chief of Police on Saturday, December 3rd, 2022. B, grant a hayride permit to the Winsted Area Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with the Winston Winter Festival for Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. with the designated route as submitted to the fire chief of police. I'm sorry. That's the list for the consent agenda. I need a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. There is no public hearing this evening, and there's no old business, but there is new business. And Adam is going to talk to us about County Road 5 extension.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. So as part of our 5-year City Council strategic planning process, the city staff has been directed to continue the process of developing the industrial park, including extension of CASAD 5 through the said industrial park. The proposed project is planned in partnership with McLeod County, will include the extension of sanitary sewer utilities, water utilities, and storm sewer utilities. In 2021, the City Council and McLeod County agreed to a project cost sharing of 81%, being paid for by McLeod County, and 19% being paid for by the City of Winsted, which puts the city's portion of the project at $552,470 as estimated. Back in December of 2021, we were notified that we were granted the Transportation Economic Development Infrastructure Grant through the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. Those funds of $750,000 are to be split between the two entities, but that exact split hasn't been agreed upon yet, or we're still negotiating what that exactly looks like. Regardless of that split, I have been working with McLeod County Cooperative Power on a potential use of their revolving loan funds for this project. McLeod County Cooperative Power offers revolving loan funds within their service area for economic development. So with that being said, McLeod County has agreed to allow us to use $150,000 of those revolving loan funds at an interest rate of 1.5% over a 10-year period. If we decide to move forward with use of those funds, we will have to structure it as a bond because we can't loan money like a typical organization. So that will cost us $4,000 to hire bond counsel to draft the appropriate legal documents. So that's the action this evening. I'm seeking authorization to proceed with a draft of those bond resolutions for you to ultimately consider if you want to proceed with that funding of the $150,000 at that 1.5% interest rate. After discussing that opportunity with our financial consultant, Shannon Sweeney of David Jones Associates, he highly recommended that we do that at that rate. Ultimately, any cash that we would have, or that $150,000, if we would want to use cash on hand, we could invest that at a higher rate than 1.5% and be money ahead. But more importantly, I was planning to use some of our ARPA funds to cover this utility extension project. Now, this $150,000 would give us flexibility with those funds. For example, if we would have to install utilities for a different business on the west side of town, that would give us flexibility on that project. So with that being said, I am recommending that we move forward with the drafting of that resolution of those bond documents. With that being said, is there any questions for me this evening?
I have a question.
Yes.
What's involved in the $4,000? Do you have any idea?
It's just the drafting of the bond documents on any, similar to every other bond that we issue. Ultimately, McLeod County has to buy bonds from us with those dollars. Again, it's not, we can't loan the dollar, they can't loan the dollars to us because we can't take loans. It has to be bonds. So they're buying bonds from the city, and it's those legal documents that the bond council is drafting. It's the same company that we use for all the bonds that we issue. And
It just seems a little
yeah,
high.
yeah. She said as much when I talked to them, the law office. She said whether the bond is for $1 million or whether it's for $150,000, it's the same amount of work. And in fact, she anticipated this being, she's not charged us more, but she anticipated this being a little bit more work, in that she's guessing McLeod County Power hasn't done this very often, so it's gonna be a little bit more, for lack of better terms, of having to hold their hand, just get them through this process as well.
So we actually get this money from them, correct?
Correct. Yep.
And County Road 5 project doesn't go through, which I'm not saying it won't, but
Right.
it don't. Do we have to pay that back, or are we able to use that?
Yeah,
money?
we'll have to structure this agreement to make sure we protect ourselves from that. Yeah, we probably wouldn't finalize this agreement, and I've already talked to McLeod County Power about this a little bit, that we wouldn't finalize this until we put out for bids and award the bids, and then we would wrap up.
But it will keep us at the 1.5, because I have a
Yes.
feeling those interest rates are gonna change for
Right.
the average person.
Right. After we authorize this tonight, then I'm gonna I told McLeod County Power I'd notify them and saying, yeah, we're agreeing to do this. So they'll earmark these funds for us. That's what they said.
Okay.
Is this project specific? from
Yes.
them?
Yes. It has to
So
be economic
if this
development.
would fall through, we couldn't use it for another project?
We would have to ask about that. I would assume as long as it's economic development related, they may consider that. Now, I think but not necessarily. I mean, they would have to go back and make that decision. I think what excites about this project is the expansion of our industrial park and expansion of growth in that aspect of the city.
But Mike brings up a good point.
Mhm.
We know it's not going, but it could.
Right.
And if we have I hate to go through another $4,000 for a
Right.
different project, if we've got it now.
Yeah. I
It could be
understand.
used from other projects.
Great
I
question.
would assume if it's economic development, I'll talk to
Any other questions or comments? Then I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city staff to proceed with the draft of a bond resolution for the future consideration of award.
I have the motion. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item under new business is Police Department cell phone purchase. Adam?
Sure. As we do with all our capital expenditures, we seek city council approval, even though we may have budgeted for them. So this evening, it's no different. We have a need for new cell phones within the police department. With that being said, I've invited Chief Helt here to go through this project with you. Chief Helt?
Yes, thank you, Adam. Mr. Mayor, our current phones we have now, I believe the city purchased in 2019. It's through T-Mobile, a Samsung brand. Phones have worked great. Mine in particular is starting to degrade. The other officers are also experiencing issues, whether it be charging, uploading photographs. We use them more than just calling. Our body cameras are actually linked to our cell phones. There's an application on our cell phone where we can label, view the data that is on our body camera. We take all of our audio statements with our cell phones. We do video statements. All of our photographs for cases are done with our cell phones. So the cell phones have replaced individual cameras we used to have, as well as our recording devices. I think we all know this in our personal lives. Cell phones are not cheap. So we did get a list of available cell phones, city staff did. And what we did last time is all the officers got the exact same phone, which to me seemed like that just made sense. But I, for instance, being a Samsung user, have never used an Apple phone. And to me, that I wouldn't know how to use it. Well, likewise for people that have Apple phones in their personal life may not know exactly how a Samsung phone works, or an Android, I should say. So I did reach out to the officers, and they provided me what would work best for them, and then we try to stay consistent with the type of phone. So they work about the same. They have the same amount of memory and such. So then I put together this memo with the cost of what these phones would be, an approximate cost of cell phone cases and the chargers that you'd have to get to use them.
So again, the project is essentially budgeted within the equipment capital improvement fund. There is fund balance available available in 2022. So again, it is budgeted 4%.
Do you know when you would receive them?
No, I do not. You know what, Amanda? A month.
Oh, okay.
The one thing I don't know if I asked, but we will this week yet, is if there's any type of reimbursement for the old phones, if they're usable yet. I think we should look into that to see if there is. Currently, we have no plan. Our plan is free. Right? Monthly plan is free, so that's why this amount is the total amount you'd have to pay for the phone. So we don't pay a monthly fee, but I can look into if there's a trade-in value.
And that might get a trade-in on the Apple and not the Android. Would that change your recommendation or no?
No, just for the fact that the Apple users, I think it would just be more efficient for them to still have an Apple, or the Android users. And I can just speak for myself. I wouldn't know. I'm sure I could learn how to use an Apple phone, but I've always used an Android phone, so being a little selfish there.
Do we know what the old phones cost, any chance?
I
don't.
I can give you a rough amount. I believe it was $6.99 a phone when we got them. It was either $6.99 or $7.99 because I remember looking at that.
And at that time, we got pretty much the lowest grade phone available.
Correct. Yes, that's very well put. Because
And we had quite a few problems with them initially.
Oh.
right
So this phone is an upgrade then,
for now.
with approximately the same amount of money? Approximately?
Yep.
Okay.
Just, I know you know this, but just with technology, it's amazing how fast everything is. Just keeps
Yes.
going up.
Any other questions? Discussion? I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city administrator and the police chief to approve a quote from T-Mobile for the purchase of cell phones for the Winston Police Department for an amount not to exceed $6,100.
I have the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next item under new business, janitorial contract. Adam.
Sure. As we discussed earlier this year, our cost of janitorial services here in the city of Winsted has increased by over 100% since July. So with that, we have reduced our the services that we contract out and have been cleaning less our city-owned buildings in hopes of finding a better solution. And with that being said, our staff has been working with different providers, getting quotes, etc. And this evening, Raquel is going to present on an option that she's recommending to the city council.
So I'll pick up where Adam left off. I had been meeting with prospective contractors, and recently the Adult Training and Rehabilitation Center, thank you for the recommendation, Tom, stated that they could provide services for the fire hall and the airport AD building. And they were getting cleaned twice per month. That would be the frequency that the new provider would give. And they could provide the service for $35 per hour. It's estimated that those buildings could be cleaned in 2 or less hours per cleaning. And city staff at this time is recommending that Adam and I could, the city administrator and myself, could draft an agreement based on prior agreements to reduce it down to those 2 buildings for ATHC, and then hopefully continue to look in the future to see if we could possibly add on another building for them to do. They can work from normal business hours 8 to 4 p.m., so that's why it's just 2 buildings right now. There's a 3rd building that could possibly fit into that category if we continue to move forward to try to reduce our costs.
Building is
Library,
Who does this one?
We're stuck with the same contract. We've just reduced the amount of times it's cleaned.
Any chance they might be able to do this with?
we have such high use of this building, and we require that they don't clean during our business hours and then during meetings at night. So they can't clean outside that 4 p.m. and they can't do early morning.
They're restricted to when their consumers are in the building at ATHC, and they're not there at night or early in the morning. So if whatever outside jobs they have for consumers has to be done during the day. And then there's a supervisor, a staff person that'll come with.
It's not because they're not able to clean this.
No.
Because of the time.
Correct.
So if we're still gonna pay that large amount for this building, even though it's reduced, is there a possibility we could work around our schedule and have them in here doing some of the cleaning? How often does this get cleaned? Once a week?
Twice a week.
Twice
It's
a week?
once on the weekend and once in midweek. We try to split it so that it's kind of even. I have not asked if they could clean on weekends, and we do have the extra events. When people rent, we have to have cleanings between. So 2 times per week is a minimum, and then we add cleanings for the rentals.
They could not on the weekend.
This is a good deal. I mean, that's why I'm looking for any way we can use them. I mean, compared to what, even at that price, to do what we're getting paid, our charge to do this building. I mean, if there's a way to work it, I think we should see if we can.
Right, and maybe even, maybe we could, obviously we'll get a trial run per se on our other buildings with them. And if that's going really well, then we can look at being flexible with our times for this building. Because then we'll see that the benefit is there, and it'll be proven to us.
I mean, if there's an opportunity, we should see if there
Right.
really is one.
Yeah. Yep. So I think we, start with the buildings that work well with their schedule. And then if that's just going really well, we can continue to
It's-
explore it.
Probably a good idea to see quality of work.
This is a great opportunity to
Mhm.
do that.
And they would do the library.
And those buildings are obviously just a little bit easier per se, right? This building's a
Right.
little more substantial. I don't want to put too much on their plate to start.
Yeah, I mean, there's things they can and can't do.
Absolutely. This will be a good opportunity.
Any other questions or discussion? And I'll look for a motion.
A motion to authorize the city administrator and city clerk treasurer to execute a janitorial cleaning contract between the city of Winsted and the Adult Training and Rehabilitation Center for the Winsted Fire Hall and the Winsted Municipal Airport Arrival Departure Building.
I have a motion. Can I have a second, please? I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is the organization report from What Up.
What up?
Are you going up there with her, Mike?
I'll stay right here. I'm her backup.
Good evening, City Council, Mr. Mayor. I am here representing the What Up group for Winsted, and What Up stands for Winsted Holding Activities That Unite People. And Mike is also on the committee with me, along with Tyler Bruns, Rose Heimrell, Nick Muehlners, and Jeff Campbell. So Nick is our student representative at this point. Most of you know the history. What Up was established out of the Blandon Foundation that occurred in 2008. And our sole purpose is to provide free events to the community and to families so that they can enjoy the community and camaraderie together and their families themselves. What we typically do is we hold events Fridays or Saturdays. And so we advertise those on Facebook, in the utility bills, and then we also have signs that we place throughout the town before the events occur to try and get that word out. They're usually attended by families and other individuals of all ages. So we've been able to, in the past year, partner with the Winsted Fire Department and the Winsted Lions. And in other years, we've also partnered with the Winsted Arts Council. So we really appreciate those partnerships. We look forward to doing that again in the future. We think that they improve our events and that they make everything better and give more opportunity as well. The Lions in particular were very generous and did hot dogs and popcorn for our movie events this year, and that was always a big hit, so we appreciate that. And thank you, George. I know you're part of that group. And also the Winsted Fire Department graciously hosted the July movie that we had with ice cream and some other fire safety information, so that was good as well, and I appreciate that. This past year, we had movie events that were held in June, July, and September. Typically, we would have an August movie, but we got rained out, except we didn't. We thought we were going to. So because we had the capability, we did move that, and we snuck it in quick in September. And even though it was last minute, we still had a pretty good turnout. Our movies have been we did what we did last year as well, have been moved to the Weinbeck Sports Complex on the east end of the football field. And that's been going very, very well. We've had great crowds. It's a great space. We're able to set our screen up next to the goalpost, so that's helpful if there's wind at all. Plenty of room as well for the Lions to pull their trailer in. So that's been a good move, I would say.
It's been excellent.
Yep. So we're still tweaking a little bit, but it's been very good. Also, we just had our Halloween bash, the 22nd of October. That was a Saturday event. That is by far our biggest and most attended event. And we have free pumpkins. We had about 130 this year that we handed out. When they're gone, they're gone. But the kids and the families can paint those and decorate those. And then we've got other activities as well, including games. We have a witch's corner where there's fun things they can stick their hands in. We also have hot apple cider and candy to hand out, and then a hayride, which is a big hit. And Mike can attest to how well that was.
We had a lot of people there this last week. And I'm saying shortly before 1 o'clock, before it opens, and they made it almost all the way to 3 o'clock when it ended. So
Yep, and it was very well attended. And we did run out of pumpkins probably by 2:30-ish, somewhere in there. I guess we had a few left.
A few big ones.
Yeah. Yep. But they still found things to do and had fun with their families. So it's neat to see people sit down together and spend time together. That's not in front of a TV, not on a phone. That's all free, that's gracious of our donors that support us and the city. So we appreciate that as well.
And the donors we do get, they help sponsor a movie, because you'd think you just go buy a movie at Walmart or Target, or what, $20-$30? Yeah, well, when you rent them and you show them to people, it costs us an average of $300 to $350 per movie. It's a law. So we go through that, and you can only show it once. Unless it rains out, then we could wait a while to show it again. So without our sponsors, it'd be really tough sled. And we do have a budget. We appreciate it from the city. And the Lions, they've been in godsend, helping us, partnering. That's been very, very good. And also the royalty has helped out.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for them to interact and meet more of the families in town as well. So.
And if there's anybody out there looking to join, we will take members. And we're not saying 5-year-old kids, but we have taken them probably as young as 11,
Yeah.
12.
Yep.
With a parent that usually sticks with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we definitely encourage that, especially with the movies. It helps to get the perspective from the high school, middle school students as well. So then we can get a bigger crowd because we have a movie that people will watch. Some of us may not be as privy to that information. But we do. Anybody that would like to help. And it doesn't have to be on the committee per se either. It can be a one and done event that people can help with. And we would appreciate that and welcome that from anyone. So
I think too, and not that it's limited to this, but there'll be a lot of families that attend that can't afford to take the kids to a movie theater or a park or Valley Fair or anything else, and that's a big night out for them.
right.
And I've got a hunch this next coming summer, with the economy the way it is, that's going to increase. It would be interesting if at all your events you could just take a count, and then at the end of the year say we had 780 people and kids or something.
Yep. I would say the least attendance we've had this year was probably in that 50-person range,
Okay.
which was great. And we know that at the Halloween bash, we had probably between 100 and 150 right there. So, yeah, and that is
Most
our-
of our movies, yeah, they average right around that 100 mark.
Yep.
I think George could attest to that.
Well, having a free event in cooperation with the Lions and the fire department, and I'm sure the police department is
They're there.
involved. It's just another thing that makes us a little different.
And we agree. And we do have a couple of opportunities coming up for 2023. We're going to be having kind of a pre-planning meeting with the committee coming up here. We do have some other opportunities as far as events and locations that we're looking at. So we'll have more of that, hoping to probably bring back our game day where we get families together and literally just put board games out and some other games. We've got usually bowling, things like that. It's really fun. So it's fun to
COVID really messed a lot of things up.
It did. Yep. So we're just getting back into it slowly, trying to see what's working. And we've got a different crowd in town. You know, we've had people move out, people move in. So we're kind of feeling that out a little bit as well. But yeah, we've got some good opportunities for 2023. So we aren't going anywhere. So
Thanks for all you do.
I'd like just one comment that I've been involved with the movies for a couple of years now. And I have to tell you that when we moved to the ball field, I'm going to say 5 to 9-year-olds are true Indians. True Indians. I mean, these kids have so much fun. But last year, I had a young man, and I would swear he was not 5 years old, but he ate 3 hot dogs. 3 hot dogs. So it is, you're right, Amanda. It's just a great evening. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun for everybody.
it is.
I'll thank the committee.
Yes, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right. We have our open forum. If there's anybody out there who would like to address the council, step up to the microphone. If not, we will continue on to Adam if he has any more updates.
Sure. A couple items. Just a reminder, tomorrow morning we have our budget work session scheduled for 9 a.m., where we will look at the budget and the levy very comprehensively as we make the final push toward the final approval of the levy and the budget, scheduled for, I believe it's December 21st this year. We are scheduled for an Economic Development Authority meeting on Thursday. We might have to reevaluate that time as my schedule's changed a little bit. And then lastly, I just want to recognize that we have had some issues lately at the organic material brush site, some staffing issues that we are working through on addressing with our current staff out there. We also had some issues with the organization that we hired to remove the material from out there. The scheduling of that was certainly inappropriate, where it caused the site to be closed down for about an hour on one of the heaviest times of the year. So I talked to my staff about that and making sure that we do a better job with that scheduling, etc. So first off, I want to apologize to the residents here in Winstead. And then secondly, I want to assure the city council that we are working to improve our processes there, making sure those same mistakes don't happen on a continued basis in terms of that scheduling and promptness in those schedules. And then again, just making sure we're not closed down during this busy time of year. We anticipate to continue to be open through the middle of November, hopefully up to the Thanksgiving week. Weather continues to be like it is. I think it will. So again, we should be open another 2 to 3 weeks, certainly, but look for notices on the city's media regarding any kind of change in schedules, etc. With that being said, that's all that I have this evening, unless anybody has any questions for me.
I'm asking, when are they going to take the fence down around Weinbeck?
Yeah, it is. They actually just discussed that with me last week. They got all the kiosk signs up, and now that's next on their list is get that fence down yet before the snow starts to fly.
Regardless of the weather, on-street parking is limited.
2 a.m. People will leave.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I got one.
Oh,
When's this football game that our
Oh.
administrator is going to be,
Yeah, that's why my schedule's just gotten a little more hectic this week. The team plays on Friday at 7 o'clock in Forest Lake.
enforcement?
Against Watertown Mayor?
No, against Norwood Young America
Oh.
Central. So we get to travel to Forest Lake to play Norwood
Somebody
Young
20
America.
miles away.
how did their season go?
Pretty similar to ours.
Well, congratulations
Thank
to
you.
this
Yeah, the
point.
boys have been playing phenomenal, and it's great to see that community spirit throughout these three communities, certainly.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.